Trigger warning. Violence, weapons, guns and knives, mentions of blood, minor character death, weird dreams, explicit sexual content. Chapter 5. In my head. It's raining cats and dogs when Atsumu arrives in front of the two black skyscrapers. Dark clouds hover above Sendai, blocking the rising sun's light and pouring down incessantly on the capital of Miyagi. Freezing wind whips through the streets, making Atsumu shiver. The weather is shit and it's cold as fuck. He runs inside to avoid getting even wetter and immediately makes his way into the elevator, this time not fearing the two guards in front of it one bit. Reaching the top, Atsumu walks through the black double doors to the side. Once he enters Oikoa's office, he freezes as all eyes turn to him. The 𝒂𝒉𝒈 was in the middle of a speech, interrupted by Atsumu who's about 30 minutes late. Atsu-chan, Oikoa smirks. You are. He flips his arm around to check his golden Rolex, then raises an eyebrow and stares into the assassin's face. Almost on time. See, I had a wild dream about Aya and me and it kept me in bed longer than I wanted, Atsumu replies as he slumps down next to Bakuto, a smirk unfurling on his face. Oikoa chuckles. Must have been a good one then. Atsumu's grin widens. He plays along. How could it not be? Oikoa cracks a smile but doesn't respond further to the latter's high-spirited charm. Atsumu's offhand manner makes the other men in the room snicker as well. Bakuto bumps Atsumu's shoulder lightheartedly, and some of the other guys whistle. Can Atsumu really still claim to hate Oikoa's Yakuza? As the 𒂂💈 continues to speak, Atsumu's gaze shifts to Sakusa. The bastard is already scowling at him, but Atsumu's smug grin doesn't falter. There he is, black suit, black mask, black suede gloves, eyes obsidian, skin pale. Sakusa rolls his eyes and tilts his head to the side, focusing his gaze back on Oikoa. I can touch you all I want, and boy did he touch Atsumu. It started with Sakusa's delicate gloved fingers on his chest and ended with Atsumu tripping over the edge. Atsumu was somewhat astonished that Sakusa even touched him. And when he did, shit. It's a shame Atsumu didn't decide to keep his eyes open much earlier to be able to hold Sakusa's gaze, because damn, what a sight that was. Atsumu won't forget it that easily and will definitely savor it for some more. You did extremely well, Atsumu. Where did the bastard even learn how to praise? In Arendelle? You look so wrecked. Atsumu doesn't remember much about what happened after that. He was half asleep when Sakusa wiped him down with something warm and damp and then carried him, wrapped in the towel he was sitting on during the whole show, to the queen-size bed where he fell fast asleep. After that, blackout. The next morning, Atsumu woke up in the same bed, but in an empty room, no sign of Sakusa. To be honest, Atsumu didn't expect him to stay. Maybe he didn't even want him to, at least that's what he thinks. But at the same time, it bugs Atsumu that the only thing Sakusa wanted from him was to see him being wrecked, broken, and nothing else. It bugs Atsumu to think Sakusa didn't want to have some fun too. Rejecting Atsumu so blithely when he was obviously so turned on. Sakusa Kiyumi remains a mystery that Atsumu is willing to solve. You're dismissed, Oikoa announces and tears Atsumu out of his thoughts. He notices he didn't pay him the slightest bit of attention. Atsu-chan. MHM? Atsumu perks up, his lazy gaze settling on the moron. You stay, Oikoa prompts and gives him a pointed look. Oh. Seems like he got something just for him. Atsumu nods. Hate some. His gaze snaps to Bakuto, currently rising from his seat. Atsumu gives him a questioning look. Something about Bakuto is different. I'm gonna visit Shoyo next week. Do you wanna join me? Atsumu frowns. It's his hair. They're not spiky and owlish as usual but he wears them down. It looks good. Is he awake? What do you mean? Atsumu pauses. After his surgery. He wasn't out of danger yet. Bakuto blinks. Atsumu blinks. Bakuto blinks again a few times in bewilderment, then laughs. That was for 2 days. Shoyo has already regained consciousness like last week. His condition is getting better with each day. Bahaha some. Didn't Omiomi tell you? No. Atsumu's glare shifts from Bakuto to Sakusa but all the obnoxious bastard does is smirk cockily. Asshole. Once they are left alone in Oikoa's office, he offers Atsumu a cigarette. Still sitting on the couch, he looks at Oikoa with raised eyebrows and shakes his head. You smoke too much. Oikoa snorts, pulls back the pack of cigarettes, and sticks one between his lips. You sound like Iwa-chan. Yeah, the same counts for him, by the way. Atsumu's tone is reproving. Oikoa chuckles, turns to the side, and lights the cigarette. Don't take your peevishness out on me. What? Atsumu scowls at him. Oikoa blows the smoke out of his lungs and snickers again. Frown a little harder and you'll get wrinkles that make you look old. Which you'll get from smoking. Ouch. Oikoa laughs. My skin is flawless. With his hand in his pocket, he walks to the window wall and stares down at Sendai, watching his men leave the building one by one. Atsumu observes him, curious as to why the 𒂂💈 has kept him here. Are you joining Bakuto? Atsumu raises an eyebrow and watches Oikoa questioningly from his seat. He turns and registers Atsumu's confusion. He moves to the ashtray on his desk. To visit Chibi-chan. Are you planning to join Bakuto? Ikuo tilts his head and Atsumu's eyes widen. Of course, he would. First and foremost, he needs to apologize to the kid. It's a huge relief to know that he's conscious again. And most of all, he feels the need to warn him about this Kajima Tobio. Atsumu nods. Good. Ikuo smiles slightly. That will make him happy. Left double quotation mark. He stubs out his cigarette and leans against his desk, arms folded in front of his chest, his gaze once again fixed on the rainy city of Sendai. Ikuo looks thoughtful, like someone who is considering his next move without going checkmate. Atsumu still wonders what the Q-Micho is up to. His gaze is determined as he turns back to Atsumu. He pushes himself off his desk and walks slowly towards him, pulling out a note from his jacket as he does so. Atsumu stands up, frowns, and takes the piece of paper. What's this? He asks confused and unfolds it. Yako's location. Atsumu's stomach drops. What? He has something that belongs to Osamu. I think you should get it back. Ikuo elaborates but Atsumu is somewhat shaken up. What? He breathes. His ears are ringing. His eyes are wide open, and his heart is beating way too fast. Blood boils up inside him and all Atsumu can think about is slitting his knife through this asshole's throat right here, right now. Ikuo maintains eye contact. Atsumu's gaze blazes with vengeance. If you're smart, you'll make him talk before you kill him. Atsumu frowns but understands Ikuo's implications. Yako might know more about Osamu's current location. Not might, actually. From what Atsumu can read of Ikuo's face, Atsumu knows the Q-Micho is sure about that. Atsumu's gaze flits to the note in his hand and notices the address. He raises an eyebrow. 𝒕𝒍𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔? It could be a trap. 𝒕𝒍𝒂 doesn't belong to Ikuo anymore, but to Ishijima, as far as Atsumu knows. So, if Ikuo sends him to Ishijima's territory to kill one of his men, he's deliberately putting Atsumu at some risk. You'll have to take Sakusa with you, Ikuo answers him firmly. Atsumu frowns even more. Of course. Sakusa. His secret weapon. None of this makes any sense. How do you know Yako will be there? 𝒕𝒍𝒂 doesn't belong to you anymore. That may be. Now Ikuo is the one frowning. The fact that 𝒕𝒍𝒂 is no longer his territory bothers him more than he wants to let on. Still, I have my ways, Atsumu. Not everyone there is following Ishijima. Certainly not people who are still on Ikuo's side. This information must be safe. Atsumu's gaze drifts back down to the address on the note. He folds it back up and tucks it into his jacket pocket, glancing back into Ikuo's eyes. I don't know why Omi gets a fucking free pass wherever we go, but if word gets out that we're taking Yako down in 𝒕𝒍𝒂 then it might cause a war between you and Ishijima. Atsumu doesn't have to explain it to him. Ikuo isn't dense. Of course, he knows. We may have an ace up our sleeve, Atsu-chan. And again, Atsumu frowns. He can't figure Ikuo out. It was stupid of Yako to attack Hinata of all people. The Q-Micho stalks back to the windows and stares at his city. He ponders about every single move. Again, Ikuo is 10 steps ahead before Atsumu even begins to comprehend the situation. Cause he's practically turned everyone here against him? Hinata is lovely. Everyone wants to avenge him. But Ikuo shakes his head. Because in this case, we have Tobio-chan on our side. Now, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Kajima Tobio? Atsumu asks and Ikuo nods. Sakusa mentioned something is going on between Kajima and Hinata. The kid has vaguely referred to a person who could match that guy. Now Ikuo's comment. Atsumu is sure something was going on between the two. Why else would Kajima be on their side? What happened between them? Atsumu wonders aloud, but Ikuo just scoffs. That's not for me to tell. Atsumu didn't exactly think Hinata liked the Adlers that much. So why would he ever care about any of his enemies? And the same the other way around. Atsumu knows nothing about Kajima, but from everything he does know about Yakuza, he's pretty sure the Adlers can't stand Ikuo's mob either. It doesn't make sense. Affection builds stronger on hatred. Atsu-chan. Atsumu blinks, his gaze snapping to Ikuo. He doesn't bother to look at him, yet he knows exactly what the assassin is racking his brains about. His gaze lingers on Sendai for a moment longer before turning his head to Atsumu, now standing beside him. And sometimes we feel the most for the people we least expect it from. Ikuo continues. Atsumu frowns. I don't tell my people whom they should or shouldn't get involved with, but know that I will always be on their side. No matter what. Are they still talking about Kajima and Hinata? Ikuo looks like he knows something but he's talking in riddles that Atsumu can't figure out. Is this about him? Atsumu isn't sure. That's what a good Q-Micho should do, isn't it? He murmurs instead, holding Ikuo's gaze. Ikuo nods. That is what a good Q-Micho should do. It's ridiculously quiet as Sakusa and Atsumu head off to 𝒕𝒍𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔. Resting his head against his fist, Atsumu frowns pensively at the road ahead. With his other hand, he subconsciously, almost nervously, fiddles with the crescent moon charm of his necklace. He tries to gather everything he knows about Yako so far, and it seems like it's not even that much. Atsumu knows he is one of Ishijima's men, trying to go into business independently. Apparently, he acted without his 𝒂𝒏𝒈 knowing when he attempted to kill Hinata, which didn't exactly earn him any friends. Now Yako has both Ikuo's group and his colleague Kojima against himself, who is also acting without a Shijima knowing. Atsumu isn't sure about that. Yako has someone in the background supporting him and wanting to make the three big Yakuza fight each other. That's his main reason for attacking Hinata in the first place. But what bothers Atsumu the most is that he knows about the identities of Inarizuki's assassins. Apparently, Inarizuki's infamous Mia twins really do exist. Atsumu clicks his tongue in annoyance. He and 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 definitely need to find Yako before Kojima does. He is currently the only person who can provide him with answers about Osamu, and Atsumu will make sure Yako spills everything he knows. If Kojima manages to kill him first, Atsumu will have to start from scratch, and he can't afford to do that. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔, too, isn't allowed to pull out his gun before Atsumu gets Yako to talk because all the bastard wants is revenge for Hinata. He doesn't care about Atsumu's interests, which means Yako is supposed to be Atsumu's mark and Atsumu's mark alone. Hey, he grumbles annoyed, his gaze still averted from 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔. I should have known silence wouldn't last long, 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 mutters under his mask, catching Atsumu's glare. The assassin scowls at him. Fuck you, Omi. Aha, how mature. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 rolls his eyes and pays Atsumu no further attention. Atsumu scoffs. Now look who's talking. Why the fuck didn't you tell me Shoyo-kun's alright? You didn't ask. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 replies bluntly, and Atsumu wants to rip his own hair. His voice cracks and all he can do is stare stupidly at 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 while blinking a billion times. He can't be serious, right? How can someone be such a fucking asshole? Atsumu huffs as he turns away and slumps back into the foiled seat, cursing under his breath and running a hand through his hair, shaking his head. He shouldn't be surprised anymore, should he? 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 has always been an asshole. Nothing has changed about that. Oh my god, I really wanna kill ya. You can't. Fuck you. Atsumu bites back and stares out of the window to his side, muttering some more curses. Seriously, Omi. Fuck you. He scowls at the passing trees and clenches his jaw. When he gets the chance, Atsumu will kill him. That's for sure. To be honest, he can hardly wait for this day. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 regains Atsumu's attention with a light chuckle flitting across his lips, but all Atsumu can see, though, are his onyx eyes lighting up and the corners of his eyes creasing. And fuck, does that laugh sound beautiful? Atsumu closes his eyes and takes a deep breath. This is seriously nothing he should be thinking about right now. Or, ever. When we reach Yako's hideout, Atsumu grumbles, face somewhat flushed and, once again averted from 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔. I'll be the one to kill him. Are you even able to do that? 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 raises an eyebrow, gaze still focused on the road. Want me to try it out on ya? I mean, I'd love to. Atsumu replies half pissed, but 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 just laughs. We're having this conversation again. Atsumu huffs. What happened between them was a one-time thing. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 got to see what he wanted to see and Atsumu got stuff out of his system that had been pent up for far too long. The cherry on top of the cake was having a hot man watch him doing so. The mood was truly mind-blowing. A once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's supposed to be out of his system by now. Except it's not out of his system. Because the hot man became kind of hotter and the spark of curiosity within Atsumu that popped up realizing what he'd triggered in 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 didn't exactly subside throughout the whole act. Quite the opposite. He's on the verge of igniting a flame that would cause an insatiable fire. And that would be something Atsumu wouldn't get rid of so easily. But right now, Atsumu seems to be more focused. Somehow. A little bit. He guesses. Atsumu pulls up a water bottle from between his legs and uncaps it. He can't help but be at least as smug about their shared night as 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 is. After all, he knows what he did to him, and he's too curious if he could evoke any more reactions out of him. Too curious about whether this will rattle the moron or not. I wonder what you sound like when you scream. Omi-kun. Atsumu smirks before taking a sip. I think you'd be a pretty crier. Stop dressing like a heathen and you might find out. Atsumu almost chokes on his spit. Now that backfired. Obviously, it doesn't throw 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 off track, but Atsumu. He looks down at himself to check his outfit and then back up at 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔, his expression somewhat aghast. I am properly dressed. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 clears his throat. Debatable. Says the one who's colorblind. You? Fuck you, Omi. Atsumu laughs. Seriously, you should bring some color into your life. Even though black looks damn hot on you. That would make you look less mortician-like. I prefer classic over ridiculous. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 quirks a brow, but Atsumu just snorts. And I prefer Yakuza rather dead than alive. Now look who's still very much breathing. At least you'll look pretty in your coffin when I kill ya, Omi-kun. Now I see the whole point of you walking around like that. It's sweet how your dreams still revolve around me. I'm almost flattered, Mia. Sure thing, because killing you will remain just a dream. Remind me the next time you come so hard you lose control over your body again. This time, Atsumu chokes on the water for real. His jacket is wet. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 chuckles lowly. You're too easy, Mia. I thought you were a worthy opponent, but I guess everyone can be wrong. Okay, whoa, stop. Too many things are going on right now. First, even though what 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 said was kind of an insult, it was also a compliment. He openly admitted he considers Atsumu a formidable opponent and Atsumu will surely savor that for a while. Second, Atsumu is anything but easy. If 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 thinks he's already figured him out, he's really got it wrong. And third, and most important of all, is there going to be a next time? Atsumu remembers 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 is his enemy, and he should only have one kind of interest in Yakuza, to see them dead. And yes, 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 is definitely someone he wants to see bleed. But sometimes, always, Atsumu couldn't care less about rules, especially when they are unspoken. He wouldn't be a Mia if he would give two shits about them, right? I was almost impressed, Omi. Atsumu's eyelids drop halfway. You're very strong-willed. I'll give you that. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 huffs. Because I didn't kill you at that moment? Yes, believe me, I was close. Atsumu hums. I believe you were close. He leans back into the seat and spreads his legs a little wider. Atsumu rolls his head to the side, gazing at 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅, but the bastard remains unfazed. He keeps driving as if he's alone in the car, but the blush on the tips of his ears doesn't go unnoticed by Atsumu. The assassin throws the water bottle into the footwell, causing 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 to frown. Although it was a bit cruel, Atsumu clears his throat. You knew I was patient for a long time, and all you can think of is marking me edge myself. Are you a sadist, Omi-kun? Maybe. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 smirks beneath his mask. Atsumu can tell by the creases at the corners of his eyes. The goon rests his jaw on his fist and steers with only one hand. For a second, 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅's gaze lingers on Atsumu. No longer smirking, his expression is now rather intrigued. Think you can handle it? The corner of Atsumu's mouth curls up into a smirk. Blood rushes into his cheeks and down his. He must be a masochist. How fitting. Depends. Atsumu murmurs. What else can you offer? Well, stopping at a red light, he turns to Atsumu. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅's eyes light up. Seems like you enjoy playing with knives. So, what about? No fucking way. Atsumu interrupts. His expression returned to seriousness. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅's smirk is back as he tilts his head. Are you telling me you're scared if I use a knife on you, Mia? Your own weapon. So you can kill me? Do ya think I'm stupid? Honestly? Shut up. Atsumu knows he's pouting, and he can feel the skin on his face burning. Niffa play is definitely nothing Atsumu will ever get involved in, and certainly not with 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅. The idiot wouldn't even know how to handle a good blade, would he? The answer is yes, he knows. Because no rookie would be able to slit the throat of Yako's henchman the way 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 did back when they were looking for him in Shiratorizawa. This guy isn't only good with guns, but apparently with all kinds of other weapons as well. Atsumu rolls his eyes. How annoying. When 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 stops driving like a maniac, adapting to the driving style of his fellow citizens, and starts looking around attentively, Atsumu knows they will soon arrive at Yako's location. In a side street, they eventually come to a halt. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 turns to him with a frown before stepping out of his car. Yako is in a tailor's shop around the corner. At this hour, he should be alone, but if there's still someone else around, we don't have much time. Atsumu stares at him with wide eyes, frowning as he ponders what 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 is implying. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒅 notices his lack of knowledge, so he continues. You got business with him, don't you? I'll immobilize him and then I'll give you an hour. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒅 opens the door and Atsumu frowns harder, stepping out of the car as well. 20 minutes if he's not alone, or less. Depends on who's with him, he says as he slams the door shut and holds Atsumu's gaze. So Atsumu has free reign. Huh? Good. This means he can ask Yako anything about Osamu before he ends his life. Certainly not in a nice way. He owes his twin and Hinata that much. Yako will try to shoot at us, so leave the incapacitation to me. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 attaches a sound suppressor to his gun. Everything else is up to you. Atsumu cocks an eyebrow as he watches 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 set up his weapon. What else are you gonna put on that thing? Stock? Barrel? Muzzle? Geez, Omi. I will honestly blow your brains out. Mia, we are in 𝒕𝒍𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔. If anyone here catches us killing a Shijima's man, we're dead. Both of us. You might need an underbarrel for that. Gonna add that too? Or did your gun handler run out of shit cause you keep stocking up that tiny minigun of yours? 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 glares at him and Atsumu can't help but chuckle. Seems like his free ride ends here. Huh? Interesting. Atsumu gives him a firm nod. He understands what the guy is trying to say. The message is clear. Don't screw this up. And 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 doesn't have to worry, because Atsumu's fingers itch to finally paint Yako's body with blood. As they walk away from 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅's car and round the corner, they immediately spot the previously mentioned tailor's shop. It's impossible to miss. The entrance of the brick building is clad in wood and ornamented with many small rectangular windows of the same size. Inside, a large scarlet curtain falls to the left and right, draped to the side to provide a view into the store. Above the entrance is a teal sign with the black sheep brandished in golden letters. What an irony of fate. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 scowls at the shop, then speaks without shooting Atsumu a glance. Let's go. Atsumu is close behind 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 as he quickly marches to the entrance, pushing the door open and aiming directly at Yako's shoulder. A pain-filled scream runs through the room, and Yako's pistol drops out of his hand. Shit. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 is just as ruthless as he was with Goshiki. Only that, unlike Goshiki, Yako is on their hit list. Umathurfu, he is cut off as 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 aims his gun at Yako's knee and puts a bullet through it. The asshole howls in agony and slumps to the ground, whining and writhing beside his dropped pistol. Blood seeps through his fingers and more curses through his mouth. Piece of shit. Son of a fuck. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 faces him and kicks his gun aside so it's out of Yako's reach. Is there anyone else here? Suck my peep. Saku. A knife finds Yako's thigh, and another scream is ripped from his lungs, beads of sweat forming on his temple. Wrong answer, bastard, Atsumu says crouched down next to Yako as he draws the knife out and smears Yako's face with his own blood. He's cutting his skin slightly, barely noticeably. Yako contorts his face, swallows hard, and turns pale. Atsumu watches him with deadly eyes. Try again. Mia Atsumu, the guy laughs. A borderline hysterical sound. What an honor. So, it's true that you're Iko's ally. The hell am I? Atsumu bites back. He straightens up and glares down at Yako. His arrogant face literally screams to be killed. We're alone, 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 announces as he checks the store for more people and pulls the curtains at the entrance closed so no one can see them. They have an hour, Atsumu recalls, already contemplating that Yako no longer deserves so much time in this world. Yako tries to sit up straight and slams his back against a counter, glancing up at Atsumu, sweating. He presses the hand of his yet uninjured arm against the gash in his thigh as if it might somehow stop his bleeding. Pain is written all over his face. How do you know about Inarizuki's assassins? Atsumu growls. He couldn't care less how Yako is feeling right now. The asshole huffs. Oh, Inarizuki, the untouched land, huh? He chuckles mockingly. Shouldn't you of all people know that you're quite desirable? Everyone wants you on the team, but you think you're better than everyone else. Yako contorts his face. All that remains is pure hatred. All of you should be exterminated, especially your stuck boss. You're pretty good at that, ain't ya? Not answering the questions you're asked? Atsumu ignores Yako's ramblings, especially with 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 present. He doesn't want to respond. Inarizuki's assassins are strong, probably the most powerful in Japan in the last few years, and the thing that makes them so desirable to everyone is that they are independent. They don't belong to Yakuza the way others do but act entirely on their own. It's incredible how someone who has no allies can face 3 major forces and several minor ones without batting an eye. Inarizuki's assassins are S tier. Everyone knows that. That's why there is only a selected group of people that ever found out who is really behind them because 6 Feet Under was quite a convenient home for those who tried to do so. Inarizuki's only well-known face is Kita. Working as a contractor, he makes sure that no one can ever harm his family. It will always come first for him. To harm those he cherishes is basically a death wish, which explains why there's only a limited number of Kita's clients. He doesn't want to attract any unwanted attention. So, Atsumu wonders how someone would be able to know this much about Inarizuki and himself, let alone Yako of all people. He isn't someone Kita would sign contracts with. Yako grits his teeth as Atsumu slams one palm down on his hands to press into the cut on his thigh. He grabs his shoulder with the other, squeezing the heel of his hand into the gunshot wound. For one thing, Atsumu stops Yako's bleeding to keep him conscious, and for another, he makes him suffer even more pain. After all, Yako shouldn't miss any of it, and an hour can be quite long. Tell me, pudding. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 scoffs at that and slams something in the background, but Atsumu decides to ignore it. Who's your lovely informant? Yako knits his eyebrows together, shutting his eyes as he tries to breathe through the pain and smiling mockingly when he's swallowed the preliminary shock. Reopening his eyes, he glares at Atsumu with mischief and hatred, reluctant to spill a single word. Yako is a sly bitch. What? Will you spare me if I tell you? So, it is someone from Kita's clients. I can be very accommodating, generous even. Sure. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 snorts and Atsumu clicks his tongue, rolling his eyes before turning his gaze back to Yako. The asshole sweats increasingly, the color fades from his skin, and pallor creeps over his body. He won't survive that for too long, yet the hatred in his eyes is still as evident as ever. Atsumu's hand creeps up from Yako's shoulder to his chin, gripping it hard and forcing him to tilt his head back so he can look up into Atsumu's cold eyes. He might be intimidating, but he can't deny there's nothing but hope behind his unmerciful gaze. Hope to get his brother back in one piece. Do I need to remind you who you're Tal? Atsumu has no chance to finish the question as 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 rustles behind him with something that sounds like crumpled foil. He abruptly lets go of Yako, stands up, and whips his head around to glare furiously at 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅. Omi, the fuck are you doing? I'm looking for a suit for you, the bastard says bluntly and wraps something in a garment bag that looks suspiciously like some light gray fabric with a faint plaid pattern. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 zips it up and hangs it on the door at the entrance. Correction, he adds, not making a face. I was looking for a suit for you. I was thinking it would look quite nice on you, but to be honest, any suit will look good since you dress like a 5-year-old toddler. Atsumu stares at him speechlessly and seriously considers killing 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 instead of Yako. Or both. Yeah. Both sounds fucking fantastic. His blazing eyes are melted into the endless night in 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔's gaze as the jerk walks toward Atsumu. When 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 reaches him, the bastard scrunches up his nose and takes his eyes off the assassin to stare disdainfully at Yako. You're wasting your time, Mia. Yako's gaze is filled with even more hatred than it was towards Atsumu. He only opens his mouth to praise himself. He won't talk. It's not like Atsumu isn't aware of that. Yako has already accepted that he's going to die. So why should he betray those he has worked with? It wouldn't make any sense. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 strolls behind the counter that Yako is leaning against and starts inspecting it. Just kill him, he remarks with a furrowed brow, his gaze now fixed on the furniture in front of him, finding interest in everything but the interrogation. Yako's time is ticking. He's tethered on the edge of life and death. If he was at his end, Atsumu would probably just kill him. But he knows the drill. It's not the first time Atsumu has made a stubborn asshole like Yako talk. Only when Yako has no more will to live and still won't spill the tea, Atsumu can be sure that all of what he is doing right now is useless. But he can't give up yet, not when Yako is the closest thing he has ever gotten to finding out where his brother is. He turns his gaze back to the wounded man on the ground, his expression back to seriousness. If he doesn't want to answer that question, then a different one may work. Where is Osamu? Atsumu's gaze flits to 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅, rummaging through drawers across from Atsumu. He could have sworn 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅's body froze for a split second when Atsumu uttered his brother's name. Or maybe he was just imagining things. He doesn't care. Yako laughs desperately, contorting his face as his chest rises and falls heavily. His miserable face gets paler and paler the more blood he loses. Panting, he tries to form some words. How the hell should I know? Atsumu clicks his tongue and frowns. So, he's someone who likes to play dumb, huh? God, Atsumu hates people like him. When you attacked Hinata in Shiratorizawa, yeah, disgusting men had his name on their tongues. I'm pretty sure you have an idea or two. He bends down and grabs Yako harshly by the collar, making him groan in pain. Don't fuck with me or the next thing I'll cut is gonna be Yerdi. Yako has the audacity to scoff. It was a lie to lure you away. He squints his eyes and swallows hard, obviously fighting his body to stay conscious. I have no idea where Osamu is. Atsumu frowns and scowls at him. He feels like Yako is lying and his hunch is confirmed when 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 straightens up and pulls something out of one of the drawers. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒅 quirks a brow, staring at the piece in his grasp. And what's this? Atsumu's blood runs cold. He feels like a bucket of ice was spilled all over him. From 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅's gloved hand dangles the same golden necklace that Atsumu is currently wearing around his neck. The only difference is that the charm isn't a crescent moon, but a ring adorned with alternating large and small curved spikes. A flaming sun. He has something that belongs to Osamu. I think you should get it back. Atsumu's stomach drops. Suddenly Ikora's words make so much sense. It's Osamu's necklace and the Kumicho knew about it. He knew Yako had information about Osamu. He knew Atsumu would make major progress in finding his brother by confronting Yako here. He knew Yako would know more than he was pretending to. How the hell did he know? And why the fuck did Ikora leave it to Atsumu when he could have taken advantage of it? Where the fuck did you get this from? Atsumu asks, just above a whisper. His eyes are fixed on the necklace, his gaze livid, his face paler than ever. He drops Yako's body and ignores his howl of pain. Atsumu approaches 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 with slow steps, carefully taking the necklace from his hand and observing the piece of jewelry in the center of his palm. There's an odd tightness around his throat that makes it hard to swallow. He has experienced this feeling before, right when he let Osamu slip from under his nose, along with the feeling of guilt clawing at the back of his mind. It's as if the ground has been pulled out from under Atsumu's feet. As if he is falling, endlessly until he shatters. As if it's pulling him, sucking him in. A black hole that tears him out of reality. His ears are ringing, numbness settles over him. His mind is playing tricks, he sees nothing but Osamu's dead body. He needs to know where he is. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅 stares at him skeptically, seemingly catching on to the hidden sorrow behind Atsumu's fierce gaze, but all the blonde can focus on is his brother's necklace. His counterpart. Anger builds up inside him. Where's Osamu? Atsumu asks again, quietly, his voice menacing. His eyes are still fixed on the piece in his hand while the world is ready to crush him into pieces. He clenches his hand into a fist, pressing the charm and his nails into his palm so hard that it hurts. Breathe. Atsumu closes his eyes as he chokes down the lump in his throat. He clenches his fist even tighter so that blood drips from his hand onto the counter between him and 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅. He feels nothing but anger and hatred and the desire to break something. Anything. His feelings are like a storm building up. Ominous. Deadly. What else could he feel besides the desire to burn the whole city into ashes? Breathe. Atsumu. The fact that Atsumu is underestimated happens quite often. Those who do, quickly pay for their mistake. Survivors won't do it twice. That anyone would be so foolish as to irritate Atsumu that much, although they know what he is capable of, is more of a rarity. And yet Yako decides to do just that. How foolish. Isn't he already hanging by a thread? What else does he want? Not in my pocket, Yako replies and scoffs, having the audacity to laugh. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒅's frown deepens the longer he watches Atsumu. He suspects the assassin is a ticking bomb by now. And then Atsumu snaps. Some tempers are shorter than others. Besides, Osamu has always been the cool-headed one. In the blink of an eye, he has Yako by the neck, slamming his bloody fist down on the asshole's jaw. Atsumu jumps on top of him when another fist hit Yako's nose. The sound of bones cracking is filling the room. Where is he? Atsumu yells as his fists meet the reddening skin of the guy beneath him. Yako has no strength to fight back anymore, taking strike after strike while Atsumu loses control over his body. Mia. He needs to know where his brother is. Mia. Osamu was kidnapped because of Atsumu. Mia. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 rips him out of his trance. What? Atsumu snaps. His golden eyes are wide with rage, killer instinct completely taking over him. Nothing but the sheer desire to kill Yako went through his mind. Even when he's gazing up to meet 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔's eyes, he feels nothing but remorse. Why Samu? Why didn't they take me? Atsumu is panting as he faces him, was yanked away from Yako when he failed to react to 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔's voice. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔's grip is tight around Atsumu's biceps while his fist is buried firmly in the collar of his red jacket. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 holds his gaze, checking Atsumu's eyes for anything that will reassure him the assassin has regained his senses. And it's strange because only now does Atsumu notice 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔's eyes aren't entirely black, but there's a gleam of very, very dark hunter green floating in them. Beautiful. Atsumu thinks and ponders whether he has ever seen such beautiful eyes before. He hasn't. He doesn't think he will ever again. He's basically a corpse. Mia. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 hisses in irritation while his pupils dilate and a hint of distress spreads across his face. He seems to be insanely uncomfortable. As if he couldn't bear to look at the mess that Atsumu is. It takes the assassin a moment to understand what's going on. When he catches 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔's hands almost trembling, Atsumu snaps out of his stupor. Anyone would have failed to notice the way they dare to almost shake as if he's fighting to still his own touch. Anyone but Atsumu. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 has his reasons why he prefers a gun to a knife. Atsumu knows he has splashes of blood, Yako's blood, on his face. Atsumu's own bloody hand clasps 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔's wrists, his skin solely protected by the fabric of his suit. And then he remembers Iwaizumi's words. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 just really hates to be touched. Or he just doesn't know how to handle it. Atsumu instantly releases his grip as he realizes his little tantrum is about to send 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 into a panic attack, which neither of them can handle right now. It was just a hunch at first, but seeing 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔's disgusted face confirms Atsumu's belief that he suffers from misophobia. The signs are clear. Atsumu knows them from his mother after all. A few seconds later, 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 releases his grip on Atsumu too and vanishes into the bathroom of the tailor shop. Atsumu frowns, his gaze following him. He decides to stay quiet, though. He'd probably make things worse. So, he turns his attention back to Yako, who lies covered in blood on the floor. His head is slowly reeling back and forth, his eyes blinking several times, groaning in a way Atsumu has only heard from people that are about to die. He is suffering and it's satisfying to watch him do so. Any last words, asshole? Atsumu asks as he crouches down next to Yako. With the back of his hand, he brushes strands from his own face, his disgusted gaze dropping down to the bastard on the floor. He pulls Osamu's knife from its sheath and brings it to Yako's throat. However, just before he cuts him, the guy slurs and causes Atsumu's movements to stop. AKA. It was soft, barely audible. Atsumu tilts his head and frowns. What? Ohs. Yako starts again, interrupting himself with a low whine. Simon buddy, focus. Atsumu pats Yako's cheek twice to keep him awake. His eyes flutter open and a second later shut. He swallows hard, chokes, and then writhes his body, coughing up some blood. Atsumu sighs. He won't last much longer. Yako groans in pain. He gasps for breath as he stops coughing, and curls up, making himself small. Osaka, he blurts. His voice is raspy. Atsumu freezes, frown deepening as he stares down at Yako. He notices the asshole's eyelashes getting wet. Atsumu knows at this point Yako is done. Osaka? It could be another lie, but Atsumu is pretty sure he's telling the truth. He would have found Osamu by now if he had been in Sendai. And in fact, Osaka was one of the places he hasn't dared to step foot there yet, fearing the worst. He'll have to check it out. It could be a lead. Good boy, Atsumu whispers, pressing the blade against Yako's vein. I'll make it quick. Yako sobbed as Atsumu uttered the words. It dies down, though, as Atsumu draws the knife through his skin, shutting him up once and for all. This is for Hinata. Atsumu stands up and stares down at Yako. He almost feels bad. And for Osamu. Atsumu jerks his head around as 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 steps out of the bathroom and peers at him. They need to get out of here. Now. Goodness gracious, Omi. You look fresh as ever. Was the feeling of me so strong you had a breakdown in there? Atsumu says nonchalantly in hopes of lighting up the mood a little. After all, he was the one who lost his temper. I had to retch 5 times, and one more time for good measure. I hope your toothbrush gets stuck in your throat. 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 spits back. Which toothbrush? Atsumu chuckles and 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒔 shoots him a death glare. Geez. I was just joking, Omi. Simon. Atsumu releases a deep breath. It's time for them to leave. Let's go. Dash. Dash. Hey, Samu. MHM. When we're sick and tired of this, Atsumu rolls to the side and snuggles deeper into his futon, facing his brother who's staring at the ceiling of their shared room. Let's open that restaurant you've always dreamed of. Osamu quirks a brow and chuckles lightly. Yeah, never getting sick and tired of this, Atsumu. The hell would you know? Atsumu snaps, too tired to be seriously annoyed. Just a feeling. Osamu shrugs and rolls to the side too, facing his brother and giving him a lazy smile. Atsumu yawns and then pouts. Well, yeah, feeling sucks. Osamu frowns and scowls at him. You suck. Atsumu slides his middle finger out of his blanket in front of his face, scowling back at Osamu. His twin can't help but laugh. The sound is oddly soothing. Sometimes it's weird how easily Osamu can get Atsumu to calm down. It may be the twin connection or simply the fact that Osamu is the only one Atsumu has left from his family. Osamu knows him better than anyone else. Probably even better than himself. He knows what makes Atsumu tick and Atsumu hates, loves, him for that. Growing up with a twin is not that easy. But Atsumu wouldn't want to miss a second of it. But yeah, Osamu starts staring at his brother with a dopey smile on his face. I guess we can do that, Dumbus. Fuck you. Atsumu chuckles and then closes his eyes. It's dark. He's tired. He wants to sleep. Osamu chuckles once more before his voice softens again. Ma would have loved that. MHM. Atsumu hums in confirmation. Osamu resembles her a lot. She loved cooking for her boys and the same passion lives within Osamu. Atsumu misses her, especially in situations like these when it's just the two of them, thinking about how happy they all used to be. He is glad that at least he still has his brother. Hey, Samu. Atsumu whispers. He's drowsy. He needs to sleep. You will always stay with me, right? I wouldn't know what to do without you. Osamu hums. There's no me without you. Sat. Atsumu deadpans. Osamu chuckles. Moron. I hate ya. He doesn't. Well, sometimes, maybe. But not right now. Yeah. Osamu exhales sounding, at least as tired as Atsumu is. Atsumu imagines he's about to fall asleep too, but he is too tired to open his eyes to actually check. We're in this together, Atsumu. Atsumu hums. Together. He pictures them somewhere downtown in Osaka, just as Osamu has always dreamed. A small food shop, a nigirimiya, just like their mother always wanted. Yeah, together with you. That sounds nice, Samu. Dart. Comma. Dart. Dart. Atsumu blinks and wonders, where does the snow go? Once the sun is up, the heat is so intense that it melts away. Slowly, carefully, it's turning into water, slipping into the ground. Solid turns into liquid. White turns dull. Even water vanishes, but where does it go? Snow is supposed to be cold, right? So, why does it feel like lava in Atsumu's hands? It's scorching hot as if it's boiling water, melting the skin off his hands. His palms aren't red, though. What's going on? Two figures are playing in the snow. They don't seem to be struggling with the heat. It looks like it's only Atsumu. Strange. Atsumu, it's just snow. Why are you staring at it like it killed your pet bird? Tsunarin chirps out of nowhere. He sounds young. Tsunarin, where have you been? Yetsumu, better get behind something quick or I'll cover the both of you in snow. Osamu yells enthusiastically. Atsumu whips his head faster than lightning, gazing softly at his best friends. Tears well up in his eyes. What's going on? Osa. Atsumu tries to call out his brother's name just to get a mouthful of snow. What a fool he is. He should know his brother by now. Bahaha get dunked on. Dumbuses. Osamu laughs, stuffing Atsumu and Suna's faces with snow. The truth about Mia Osamu is that he's a sneaky bastard because yeah, even Rin can't escape him. He is covered from head to toe in white powder. It's hot. Why is this so hot? It's supposed to be cold. It's a mouthful of literal fire. What's wrong with this snow? Why are they okay with this shit being so damn hot? Fuck you, Samu, mutters Rin as he tries to brush the snow off himself. He bends down to pick up some snow of his own to smother it into the twins' faces. The only thing Atsumu notices, though, is how quickly it melts in Suna's palms. It must be the weather. The temperature must be a little over the top today. Atsumu feels stupid. Why is his throat so tight? His eyelashes flutter to get rid of the blurry vision. Atsumu's eyes are filled with tears. Why are they filled with tears? What the fuck is wrong with him? It's just snow. Why is he so dramatic? Not wanting to ruin the easygoing mood, Atsumu bends down to pick up some snow too. He tries to ignore the heat, trying to convince himself the snow is just very very cold. Is he about to cry because the snow hurts him so much? He doesn't have time to sulk right now. His friends are here with him. It's time to finally have some fun. With their hands full of snow, Atsumu and Suna spin around. They are ready to attack Osamu. After all, they need to pay him back. But they forget who they are dealing with. They both lack the speed that Osamu picked up in the years of fighting with Atsumu. After all, he had to dodge all the crap Atsumu was throwing at him. So he sidesteps their snowballs with ease, laughing mockingly while ducking behind a hideout. He laughs and it infects Atsumu. Only now does the blonde realize they are in Hyogo. He realizes that they are on the hills where they used to romp in the snow when they were teenagers. He realizes Osamu is very much alive and they are having the time of their lives. You can't run that far, Samu. Oi, scrub. That's high treason. And why the hell should I care? Osamu laughs. A snowball comes dashing in Atsumu's direction but misses him. Yeah, my fucking brother. Atsumu yells, smiling as well. Isn't that punishment enough? Suna laughs. Atsumu throws a snowball at him but he dodges it with ease. Shut your trap, Sunarin. Atsumu is the first to run after his brother, Suna right behind. With his hands full of snow, he is ready to launch his attack as if his life depended on it. He feels a strange sensation. It's like a kind of giddiness he hasn't felt in a long time, the feeling of joy coursing through his body. Hell, it's Osamu. Gosh, it's Samu. Did he take his brother for granted? He did. When Atsumu reaches the mound of snow that Osamu has been hiding behind, he's ready to launch himself at his twin with the snow in his hands. It's practically melting the skin off his bones but Atsumu doesn't care, he just wants to have a little fun. But there is nothing behind it. No sounds, no footprints, no Osamu. Atsumu freezes, his blood runs cold. It's almost as if history is repeating itself. Osamu is gone because he lost track of him. How can he be so stupid? How can he let something like this happen again? Hasn't he learned anything? Atsumu likes to believe he learns quickly enough from his mistakes to avoid repeating them. But if that's the case, then where is Osamu? He was just there a moment ago. It's impossible how fast he can vanish right from under Atsumu's nose. He must have been hiding somewhere else when he and Suna weren't looking. Samu. The snow is melting. A field of red spider lilies unfurls around Atsumu. Samu, where are you? He turns around, almost cracking his skull because he wants to inform Rin as fast as possible before they lose track of Osamu's footsteps on the snow that melts persistently. But all he encounters is an eerie silence. No sign of either of them as if they had never been there. What's going on? Atsumu swallows thickly. It's hard, because his throat tightens once more, making it just as hard to breathe. So his chest rises and falls in short, shallow heaves, almost hyperventilating as panic surges through him. His eyes are red-rimmed, tears blocking his vision. There is this odd tremor in his fingers, in his legs, in his whole body. He can't be happy for shit, can he? A cold wind blows through the field of flowers. Samu. You never realize how much someone impacts your life. How many laughs they bring out of you, how fast your mood lightens when you're around them, and how free you feel with them until they're gone. Where are you? Once there is nothing left of them but meaningless traces, only then do you realize how empty and repetitive the days have become without them. Atsumu ponders. Would everything have been different if Osamu had never joined him? If Osamu had at least hidden with Atsumu? Should they have both just died that night? Atsumu is sure that at least he should have. He stares up at the sky, letting the wind sweep through his blonde waves as a tear creeps down his cheek. Samu, he wonders, are you still alive? Atsumu is hot when he wakes up and feels his heart race. His chest is heaving, breaths deep but hushed, assassin instincts kicking in. He swallows thickly, his throat is dry, and his eyes are wide open. He is sweating although it's a cold night in December and he should be freezing. Something is wrong. Atsumu sits upright, rubs his eyes with his knuckles, and feels his skin getting wet. Was he crying? He runs a hand through his disheveled hair, only to get stuck in the knots that have formed in his fitful sleep. So, he grasps the strands and stares into the darkness of the night. What the fuck did just happen? He releases the grip, reaches to the bedside table to grab his phone, and scrolls down to the name of Sunarin, letting his digits hover over the call button. But instead of calling him, he locks his phone and puts it away like he always does in situations like this. Another dream about Osamu. Another nightmare. An intense one. The first dream, however, was more of a memory. It was just before they left for their last mission. Atsumu remembers it as if it was yesterday. The second dream? A bad premonition. Atsumu scrubs a hand over his face and sighs deeply. He needs to calm down and distract himself. Think of something else. The only thing is that he can't. He stares at his phone next to his legs, illuminated by the moon. He hesitates for a moment but eventually lets his hand wrap around the device. Instead of seeking out Suna's number, Atsumu's fingers hover over a different one. He's going to hate himself for this. Text messages between Omi-kun and Atsumu. No idea if you catch this but text me if you're still awake. It's the middle of the night and they finished their mission 5 hours ago. Why would SakuAtsu still be awake? And above all, why should he text Atsumu? It was a stupid idea. I'm awake. Oh. Atsumu blinks. His chest is feeling weird. Why was SakuAtsu still up? Are you free? Why? Atsumu sighs, his hands trembling slightly. Why would SakuAtsu agree to his plan a second time? And what does Atsumu even expect? He's fucking Yakuza, no one he should voluntarily go to. And yet he's the only one who can distract Atsumu in his own weird way. I love my bed but I'd rather be in yours right now. Good night. I hope you choke and die. Naomi can wait. Dart. Less than sign. Atsumu grins a little as he types to the prickly bastard. He keeps telling himself he's only going to get involved with him one more time. It's a weak moment. But if he wants to find Osamu he needs to be fully focused for that. I'm feeling a bit off is all. Atsumu ponders if SakuAtsu has either fallen asleep or if he has driven him away because he doesn't receive any more messages from him for quite a while. When his screen lights up about 10 minutes later, his heart beats a little faster. Because of what happened earlier? Don't know. Maybe. You should try to sleep, Mia. If I could do that I wouldn't be writing Yuomi-kun. It doesn't make sense. Why would SakuAtsu get involved with him? He hates Atsumu at least as much as Atsumu hates him, and as long as SakuAtsu doesn't touch him, he doesn't even get anything out of it. So why should he agree to this foolish idea? Be here in 20 minutes. Same hotel room and same code word as last time. Holy shit. Atsumu will go to hell for this. Spicy stuff starts here. Please hit the AO3 link in the info box if you want to read the rest of this chapter, cause I won't put it up here.